It came into being as the Foundation for Public Relations Research and Education under the auspices of PRSA. Now, I want you to think about just how extraordinarily early that was in the history of public relations as a profession. It was 9 years after the charter of PRSA was first issued, came the foundation. It was only 30 years after Arthur Page had gone to work for the AT&T company and literally was the first person, the first ever corporate vice president of public relations. It was only a few years before that when Edward Bernays published Crystallizing Public Opinion and used that as the text for one of the very earliest college-level public relations courses. And in fact, if you go back just a few years more to 1906, so now you're 50 years before the founding of the foundation, Ivy Lee left Wall Street and declared and issued his Declaration of Principles, which really heralded the beginning of modern public relations consulting. So once again, if you think about the medical profession, and this is a favorite theme of Kathy Kelly's, for crying out loud, they had 400 years to figure it out, and we are dealing still with a very young profession. Now, our original charter from 1956 sits in our offices at the University of Florida, the College of Journalism and Communications. Those of you down there are invited to come in and take a look at it, but that's what it looks like. It was issued by the University of the State of New York, as it was called then, the Regents, I guess because it was originally formed in New York and they had the power to issue charters for any educationally oriented. And that charter, dated October 26th of 1956, says that our purposes are to conduct, provide, sponsor, and foster research, instruction, and study in the general field of public relations, to give, grant, and sponsor the granting of scholarships, fellowships, and other awards for research, instruction, and study in the general field of public relations, to promote facilities and opportunities for research in and analysis of public relations through forums, discussions, surveys, public meetings, exhibitions, and conferences, to furnish and distribute pamphlets, books, and monographs, and in general to disseminate information concerning the subject of public relations. Now, I would argue that through all of these years, and we're now almost 60 years old, we stayed quite close to those original purposes, even if a vibrant website has taken the place of pamphlets, books, and monographs, because everything is out there now. But it does make you wonder, if you go back to 1956, how did the founders of this organization get it right nearly 60 years ago? What did they know that most of their contemporaries did not? I personally think it was that no occupation attains the status of a profession without a substantial body of codified professional knowledge, research-based knowledge, and the educational systems to help create and disseminate that knowledge. And now that's, I would argue, as true of public relations as it is of medicine, law, accounting, or teaching. In each case, there is that science beneath the art, and it's working knowledge of that research base combined with creativity that always marks your best professionals. Now, granted, the principle is the same, but it's a matter of degree. I would contend you probably want more creativity in your public relations counsel than you do in your accountant. You want to make sure your accountant's got certain things that are sacrosanct. So the principle is the same, and while I'm not going to try to review the entire history of the Institute, I would like to cover some major milestones, in a few cases with pictures of people you will know, possibly remember they once looked like this. Often people in this room, and I would add to that, hashtag TBT, because this is Thursday after all. So, in 1961, we held the first annual Distinguished Lecture. It was not yet an Lawrence dinner. And it's an event where leading scholars, practitioners have explored public relations history and issues. Here's a photo of Betsy Plank. At one of the lectures, she has delivered the lecture in the past, had delivered the lecture in the past. She just happened to be speaking in another year. And Harold Burson, with Jack Felton. here. Likewise, and I think looking at that, I'm guessing Michelle Union League Club? Or okay, all right. So it's different than the Yale Club one we have today. Now, in recent years, we have had Kate James, who was then the Chief Communications Officer of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, talking about the business of changing the world. We've had Richard Edelman on reimagining public relations for a complex world. And this year, Richard Dobbs, who is the director of the McKinsey's Business and Economic Research arm, is going to talk to us on digitization, urbanization, and Easternization as the primary business drivers. A very research-oriented presentation he makes. Tickets are available if you can be in New York on November the 13th.